part of the challenge is our stats are telling us that half of the crashes that are occurring is because of the fact that motorcycle operators are driving way too fast, running red lights, they're consequently running out of pavement, which is why they go off the road and crash, right? Some that are unlicensed, some that are uninsured, okay? Those folks, it's very, very difficult to do a lot in order to encourage compliant behavior, because that exists both within the community that drives cars and those that drive motorcycles. So really what it's about, it's how can we actually influence those that want to do things the right way, right? And what that really comes down to is recognizing, for starters, you're a vulnerable road user if you're on a motorcycle, and trying to actually answer the question, if I'm getting cut off in an intersection, look at it from the other perspective. What's happening here? So if you're driving too fast, you're decreasing the amount of time you have to react to somebody turning in front of you. That other oncoming motorist might not be able to see you because maybe there's a car between you and them. Okay, I've had this happen to me. If you're too close to the car in front of you, oncoming traffic can't tell there's a motorcycle there, right? So there's things you can do. If you're dressed head to toe in black, probably not a great thing when it comes to your visibility, right? For anyone out there that's a runner, would you wear, head to toe black at 5 in the morning when you go out for a run? No, because people can't see you. That's how you end up getting run over by a car. Same thing applies on a motorcycle, right? Even the lighting on your bike. If you're on a really narrow profile bike, right? Got not a lot of lighting, all of those things are going to influence other people's ability to see you on the roadway. So there's lots you can do, even if you're not the one that's at fault, you're not the reason that the collision has occurred. There's a whole bunch of things you can do as a motorcycle to mitigate that risk and ensure that you're as safe as possible on the roadway.
So of the crashes that have happened in the region so far this spring and summer, how many of those were at fault for the motorcyclist?
It's about, on average, it's about half and half. That's kind of a rough approximation. What we find right now is about half of them are caused in these kind of typical two vehicle type scenarios in an intersection, motorcyclists being cut off. There have been a couple of outliers where it's just the motorcycles blowing the red light and T-bone the car. Again, not a lot I can do to really influence that behavior, but it's the other ones where it's a single vehicle collision. Typical case is where motorcyclist is driving on down the road and just ends up in a bend with too much speed and ends up dumping the bike. And unfortunately, if there's trees and guardrails and things like that, again, vulnerable road user, you don't have 4,000 pounds of steel around you. Typically speaking, you're going to get hurt. And in 80% of our collisions so far this year, anyone that's come off a motorcycle, 80% of those have ended up in the hospital, and that includes 4 fatalities.
That's a scary number. That's higher than usual.
Yeah, absolutely it is. The numbers right now roughly are about double where we are last year. We had 2 fatalities in the region last year, motorcyclists. This year we're at 4, so right there it's a 100% increase. We've doubled. And again, we're only at the start of August, so there's still at least 2 to 3 months in the operating season left. Rest of the summer, what I'd like to see is, quite frankly, it's 0 fatalities and ideally 0 injuries. And if we could really be greedy, how about 0 collisions involving motorcycles or any vehicles for that matter? It's a pretty lofty goal, but ultimately at the end of the day, in order to ride a motorcycle, you shouldn't have to give your life to do it.